Here we go. Ready or not, we are live. Hello, friends. My name is Maria Alejandra. You can call me MA. This video is going to be a reading for both the full moon in Leo and also the imbolc energies that we are co-creating with right now. And also a reading on February in general. Some hits that have been coming through. We are wearing a bold lip today because we are co-creating with a lot of beautiful fire energy. And I'm calling this video The Fire in Your Heart. And my intention is to actually go live over the next few days on YouTube. So click the little notification bell. It'll let you know when I'm live. And if not, just come back to the channel and check, because every day we'll share what feels like, let's call it a spiritual transmission, a joyful, heart-filled spiritual transmission to prep us, to help prep us for February and what's to come. It is a beautiful, beautiful month with an interesting combination of energies. And so let's talk about it. For those of you who are live, say hello in the comments. And if you're watching after the replay, say hello in the comments as well. Thank you for subscribing and supporting my work in the world. It means a lot to me, from my heart to yours. Just a couple of announcements before we begin. You can have your very own free version of my moon calendar that gives you all the full moons and new moons for the entire year. The dates and all that good stuff, plus some suggestions on how to work with the full moons and the new moons, some prompts, some journaling ideas. The link will be below. I've also open enrollment for my brand new group program. I haven't hosted a group program in over a year because it's been a year of a lot of deep transformation for me. And I am now really excited and ready to open up the space again, the virtual doors, to hold space for a really, what I feel is going to be a really joyful and a radical approach to how we radiate in the world. Radical in a good way, radical in the way that we're going to create new things. And so I'm really excited for it. It's a program that's being divinely downloaded. Every day I get new hits, and we're open for enrollment. We're starting with the spring equinox. So we have a beautiful runway to work towards. And then once we hit the spring equinox, which is also a new moon in Aries, get ready to fly, my friend. So if you're interested, the link is below as well. And I have a Patreon if you want to explore more working with me. This month, for example, we have a new moon in Pisces, which I'll be doing a group on Patreon, Zoom experience, so we can work a little bit closer together. Now that all of that is out of the way, let's talk about the fire in your heart. I want to give you a real life example because yesterday I worked with an incredible woman named Sage Adderley. Sage is a friend and also has been a client. She's bridges those two worlds together beautifully. I love you. She does beautiful work in the world. She coaches authors. She's a storyteller, and she's all about working with creatives. I'll leave her link below. Go check her out. So I'm working with her yesterday, and we did a half-hour session that had more potency in it and magic. That was really, really crazy. And it's one of those examples of being in the sweet spot of really making some powerful things happen. Sage is a Leo. Her sun is in Leo. So of course, with this full moon in Leo coming up, if you have any particular placements or a collection of planets in Leo, definitely pay attention. We all have Leo represented in our chart in some way. And it's beautiful to understand, to co-create with the energies, not from the perspective of like, oh, well, what's going to happen to me, but rather, oh, what could I do with this? Is it calling me to move forward? Is it calling me to pause? Is it calling me to create something? Well, in Sage's case, she came on board with a couple of ideas that she was mulling over, one of them being a podcast. And in 30 minutes, I kid you not, we basically workshopped and strategized, and I helped her come up with the launch date for her podcast. She already had a name. We came up with like the tagline, some strategy bits and pieces. But beyond that, just getting her really excited to start, because she was going to delay it a little bit. And Sage is a total self-starter. Like she's a go-getter. But she's also wanting to work more intentionally with the energies of when do I move forward and when do I pause? And so we talked about that yesterday, because February has this particular set of energies woven together that call us both to rest and to prepare, because my friends, March is going to be bonkers astrologically, energetically speaking. March is a month that changes everything. March is a month with so many big transitions happening in the sky that we're going to be like, what? but I believe it's all for the good. I believe we're going to get shaken up, but for the good. We've been shaken up. We have been shaken up. And let me know if you have felt like I have felt a bit of a lift in the energy, a shift in the energy. And this is where, when we just check in intuitively, just part of what I love helping us to do is to trust our sense of intuition, our inner knowing, right? With a capital K, that like gut feeling. And when you check in, there has been a palpable ripple of energy that's just been like, whew. We did a lot of releasing over the past year in particular, mega transformations happening. January was a month where we were just getting into the energy, kind of testing the waters of 2023. And traditionally speaking, this is the time, if you follow the wheel of the year, Imbolc is a fire festival, right? It's a Celtic fire festival um, that marks the midpoint between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. Winter solstice being the darkest, right? And spring equinox being the beginning of spring. This midpoint right here says it all. We are literally in the midst of resetting. And what I'm going to sprinkle in as well is engineering new dreams, dream engineering. I got that phrase from one of my astrology teachers, Brian Coulter. He's incredible. He sent an email yesterday and he talked about the energies of February and one of the aspects around it being around dream engineering. And my heart just leapt for joy with this because I love working. I always say I'm more and more identifying as a medicine woman who helps you shift your mind, who helps you like connect your mind and your heart so that you can come into a new sense of alignment and make things happen from that space, right? And so dream engineering, why? Because we're going to be start working with Pisces energy in February. Why? Because we are working with Venusian energy in February, which we always are, but Venus happens to be in Pisces right now. And so there is both this combination of a rest and reset, really like, okay, and an understanding, a celebration of how far we've come, of how we've transformed, an integration of all the things that have perhaps left our lives, come into our lives unexpectedly, a reconnection to the earth, because this is a very earthy year. We are working very strongly with the energies of Taurus. And we are now going to Taurus and Uranus, which have been transforming the way we see everything, our foundations, our values, our money, our abundance, our priorities in life. It's all gotten shaken up. And we are now landing in, okay, well, what does this look like? And sometimes it might be very obvious, big, like real life changes happening in your 3D world. But a lot of it might just be a very deep knowing that something has changed. Something has changed within me. Something is not the same. This is from Defying Gravity, which is an amazing song to listen to at this time right now. I'm actually creating a playlist for my Radiate group program. And that's one of the songs in the playlist, Defying Gravity. Something has changed within me. Something is not the same. I'm tired of playing by the rules of someone else's game. If there was ever a moment of like, oh, yes, that's what's happened, because Uranus wants to bring us closer to our authentic self. And what is more authentic than honoring the fire in your heart? Imbolc is a fire festival. It connects us with the goddess Frigid. She's the goddess of the hearth of the home. Imagine your heart being the hearth of your home here on earth, you tending to your heart. February, of course, is associated with hearts, with love. Let's bring that into a sense of self-love. Then we have this Venusian energy, which is all about self-worth. The decadence and the abundance and the joy of loving ourselves as we are in this body with this set of things that we have going on right now, whatever it might look like. That's Venus. Venus wants you to love yourself fully and completely and to feel good in your skin. And then we have this full moon in Leo in just a couple of days. We're talking about the 5th of February, this Sunday. The full moon in Leo that calls us to ignite our light, to shine, to not be afraid, to stand unapologetically in our own brilliance, as the loving, courageous, incredible, luminous creatures that we are, right? It calls you to be a beam of light. I have this metaphor that I've been using for a few years, and every time I've used it with clients, it's always landed. It is the difference between being a lighthouse versus a searchlight or a spotlight. And in the context that I would use it, it had a lot to do with how we attract the clients that we work with. Because I would coach women that were starting businesses that, part of it is you've got to find people that want to, enroll in the things that you're offering in the world. And that can feel very tricky. That can feel very triggering, very tricky because we're putting ourselves out there. It's a very kind of confronting, vulnerable thing to do. So we would work through the fears and the multiple layers of what it looks like to show up in the world, because there's fear of like showing up versus showing off. At least that's been one of the things that I've been healing, right? This like too much, this whatever, taking up too much space, fear that we get to let go of, especially working with this full moon in Leo, being willing to let go of it. So when you embody the energy of a lighthouse, you are grounded. You know who you are. You are strong. You know you are capable. You don't have to be perfect. We don't know, no perfection necessary here. Simply a knowing that even the fact that we want to create something with integrity is enough. The fact that we want to create something with our heart is enough. And so we get to stand there and we get to turn that beautiful, brilliant light on. And then it's going to spin around and it's going to both call ships forward, and it's also going to beam out its light for a sense of like, hey, here I am, versus a spotlight. Imagine a helicopter with a spotlight, a searchlight, right? And it's just like hovering over, like, and then just boom, and boom. That's not the vibe. It doesn't mean sometimes we can't have our like searchlight moments. We can embody all the things, but imagine right now being that sturdy, steady, grounded, take a breath and shine my light out kind of energy. What does that look like for you? What does it look like for me to be a lighthouse versus a spotlight? If that's a metaphor that works for you. What does it look like for me to stand, to breathe, to allow my light to shine? Because your luminosity is always wanting to come out. Like, I really believe this. I believe you were born to radiate. Like, how can you not? You're a one of a kind, never been seen before, never to be repeated again creation on this beautiful earth in this moment in time. There is something about you that is luminous. There are multiple things about you that are so, so luminous. Your smile, your eyes, even if we look at it from that perspective, the smile that you show the world, how you look at others with eyes that are full of kindness and compassion and understanding, how you give others hope, inspiration, love, how your hands care for others, these beautiful hands that help us move about the world. The way that you create things, whether it's a wonderful meal or it's a cup of tea for somebody, or it's a beautiful art creation, or it's something that you wrote, or it's something that you do for your kids' school or for your job, a presentation. You are a creatrix through and through. Imagine thanking yourself and appreciating yourself for being a creatrix, for turning light into form. And so this is a moment. Leo energy is joyful. Leo energy is the energy of the leader, the heart-centered leader, the person who leads with love, with vision, with integrity, with compassion. And that energy of leading and being comfortable as a leader is something that the more we embrace and the more we shift the paradigm around what it means to be a leader, the more we will send ripples of those new changes out into the world. And boy, are we due for some beautiful new leaders. And of course, they've been cropping up all over the place. And the old leadership styles are like gripping, trying to grip onto whatever's left of like, and these are big, big, big changes we're in. Is it going to change in a month or two? No. Year or two? No. But it is absolutely shifting. And so let's take comfort in that. Let's celebrate those really good things and those good moments of the things that are emerging. And so what would it look like for you to shift from stuck to a little more expansive? There's got to be something right now, one thing right now that you've been wanting to do that you can take some action on. Make it tiny or big. For Sage, for example, bringing back this beautiful Leo goddess, she has had this podcast. And so when we were in the session, I literally said to her, because I'm really good at getting people going in a way that makes them feel really like juicy and inspired about it. And I asked her, and I ask you, I said, Sage, what gets you fired up? Because that's where we are right now. We're like imbolc, fire, full moon in Leo, fire, that energy of like, let's go. We're also prepping ourselves for the new moon in Aries on the spring equinox, March 21st. Write that down on your calendar. If that was ever a day for a new beginning, my friend, let it be that day. Because the new moon will be in the very first degree of Aries, which is what opens up the zodiac, literally. I call Aries the spark starter. So where can you start a spark in your life? And be ready also for things to surprise you as you go. Like the other really powerful thing that's going to happen, there's some stuff happening with Saturn, which is going to help us build momentum and new structures and new rhythms. We'll keep diving into it. There's so many things I could mention in this video. I'm going to try to keep it chill, because if not, we'll be here forever. But I will come back tomorrow and we'll dive on into another topic. But the point right now is March 21st. Jot that down. And note, this is a warning, like warning sticker, but take it as a good warning. Take it as a good, juicy challenge. Whatever you choose to create that day will probably surprise you. It will not end up exactly the way you thought it would. Just going to say that. So, and it's going to challenge you in new ways. It's a wonderful time for those of us that are launching new things to launch something new, but do it in a conscious way where you are aware that whatever you're doing at that time is also going to deeply recalibrate you. It's going to recalibrate whoever is working with you in that specific space, but it is also going to deeply recalibrate you. So if you feel a sense of readiness around, okay, transformation station, like here we go. What I would advise you is to do that conscious work from now, where you're checking into your intuition, you're meditating in whatever way feels good for you, you're journaling, you're celebrating, you're integrating, you're transitioning yourself and preparing yourself. Think of it as a time of divine preparation with simple things. Find the magic in the mundane. Find your sense of clarity and courage. Find the ways to support what you're doing, and know that when that March, even before the 21st, we're going to start feeling some really big changes and shifts and unexpected things happening. But that day marks such a profound beginning. New moons are all about planting new seeds. And so what a time to plant some new seeds. So back to Sage. She happens to have an Aries, I was going to say heart, an Aries moon on her chart, which corresponds with the heart, right? So I said, Sage, your podcast starts on the full moon. First, I was leading her into doing something symbolic, some spell work, some candle magic, which I recommend you do as well this week. As simple as lighting a candle with an intention, the fire in your heart. May this candle illuminate the fire in my heart. May this candle illuminate the way and be a representation of the fire that I'm radiating out, of the light that I am radiating out into the world, of the joy, of the inspiration, of the courage, of the vulnerability, of the messiness, of the love, of the hope that I'm radiating out. So do your own bit of candle magic, right? But I was telling Sage, you got to do something. And then I was like, no, this podcast, like, you don't have to wait. You have the idea. It's right there. I recommended a podcast platform that's, I think would work really well with her. And we basically in 30 minutes, done. And she sent me an email asking me a couple things about what she wrote to describe the podcast. And we bounced back some ideas. And that was it. And so here now in the world will exist a new form of communication. I also did a reading for her and we got something about using her voice. So that was further confirmation. So now, as of Sunday, symbolically, with this full moon in Leo, Sage gets to say a very proud and delicious and ferocious roar on behalf of her story, her creativity, her perspective as a storyteller, take up more space in the world because she has lots of beautiful things to share and say and lots of healing energy about her. And she gets to radiate that out and share that in a new format that will undoubtedly support, inspire, and heal other people. Right now, we're working with the Leo Aquarius axis. Leo is, again, that it's the performer, it's the leader, it's the shine your light, it's the wear the bold lip and just like, here I am, hi. And it takes practice getting comfortable there, but we can totally get there. I promise you, even if right now you're like, that's not me, it could totally be you in various degrees, right? Depending on what you feel comfortable with, but there's always a next level. And then Aquarius is this mind genius energy that has to do with putting ideas out in the world that benefit the collective. Aquarius is really cool because it, again, beautifully balances the idea of the importance of community, importance of creating something that's community that I was going to say levels up. That's what's coming through, levels up the collective, right? It's like, okay, that benefits numbers of people and brings them together. And it's also the sign of individuality, of authenticity. So Aquarius says, be you, be unapologetically you in the world of the collective. And with that, you will help others. Is that making sense? So be you, be true to you. And in that way, you will absolutely be able to give more gifts out to the collective. There's a beautiful thing here about revealing who we are. Reveal who you are. Let your heart see the light of day. It's medicinal. It's medicinal. It is delicious. It is medicinal. It's what we are being called to share. It's what we're being called to cultivate right now. And so I encourage you to be in that space of openness, of cultivating that fire in your heart, that unique spark that you have, that's yours and yours alone. And it's really, really beautiful as we work with the moons. That's why you can have that moon calendar. And depending on the sign and depending on, what other factors are happening in the sky always impact. But at least working with the sun, you can co-create and work on a version of yourself that could be expanded and nourished. We're talking about nourishing yourself and also grounding and growing. It's like that perfect combination of what grounds me, what makes me truer to me, what makes me feel at ease. What are the pillars of who I am that I get to tend to? And also, where am I going? What's calling me forward? Where am I growing? And so February holds both of those. I will be back tomorrow with some more hits on February. Maybe we'll pull some cards as well. Please pop any questions here that you might have in the comments. Thanks again for subscribing and following. Do consider joining us in Radiate. You have plenty of time, and right now you can save $300 till for a limited time till February 21st. And I've packed a lot of value into this beautiful program. Again, it's divinely downloaded, and I'm open to some really, really big magic here in the space. And I know there's going to be so much more that I hasn't even come through yet, and it will. But check out the website, and if it intrigues you, I'd love to have you on board. And if you have any questions, just send me an email. or schedule a chat with me and we can talk about it if it's right for you. All my love and all my stardust and moon dust I send you today and always. Thank you for being a part of my life. And yeah, I love you. I'll see you later. Adios.